So, what if your credit card app knew what you needed, maybe even before you did? That's exactly the goals Samsung Card, one of South Korea's absolute biggest players, set out to achieve. Today, we're going to break down how they completely reinvented their system, moving from some pretty old tech to an AI platform that reacts in the blink of an eye.
Seriously, think about it for a second. Is it just an app showing you something you might like, or is it showing you the exact right thing at the exact right moment? You know it when you see it, right? The difference between a generic, annoying ad and a truly personal offer is massive, and it all comes down to timing and context. And that was the heart of their entire mission. Imagine this. You're browsing overseas travel deals. Seconds, not minutes, but seconds later, your app suggests a card with amazing foreign exchange benefits. Or maybe you just fill up your car with gas, and bam, an instant fuel discount offer pops up on your phone. See, that's not just personalization anymore. It's a conversation. And to have that conversation, their system needed to be lightning fast.
Okay, let's get into it. Section 1, the personalization problem. They were basically dealing with old, creaky tech that was trying to meet these incredibly powerful new demands.
They were really facing a perfect storm here. First off, their physical servers were getting old, which meant they were expensive to maintain and were staring down a huge bill to replace them. Second, their software was built like a rigid, brittle chain, making it almost impossible to add new features or, innovate. And maybe worst of all, even when their super smart data scientists built what they thought was a better AI model, they had no real way to prove it was actually making a difference for the business. It was pretty clear. It was time for a total overhaul. All right, Section 2, building a flexible system. Before they could even touch the cool AI stuff, they had to completely rebuild their foundation, moving from something brittle to something truly resilient.
So their old system was what you'd call synchronous, and you can really think of it like that rigid chain. If one single link broke, say the part that calculates user data, the whole entire process could just grind to a halt. So they shifted to an asynchronous model, which is much more like a flexible web. All the different services operate independently. It's a philosophy that Amazon's CTO summed up perfectly. The world is asynchronous.
Now, the concept they used to make this happen is called event-driven architecture. Instead of one program directly telling another, hey, do this right now, the system just kind of broadcasts an event. It shouts out, hey, a customer just made a purchase, and then other services can hear that and react on their own time. This decoupling, this separation, was the absolute key to building a platform that could scale and wouldn't break. So with that new, flexible foundation in place, they could finally get to the fun part, the AI. They had this incredibly powerful model, a graph neural network, but it came with one huge, glaring problem. It was slow.
The challenge was crystal clear. Their graph neural network was so powerful because it didn't just look at you as one single customer. No, it analyzed the complex relationships between millions of customers and products to find these hidden patterns nobody else could see. But all that complexity, all those calculations, meant it took forever to generate a recommendation. And in the world of real-time service, forever just doesn't work.
To solve this, they came up with this brilliant three-pronged strategy. First, they streamlined the input data, cutting the number of customer data points they looked at by about 30%. Second, they used a super clever technique called graph sampling. And third, they built in some smart caching, so if your data hadn't changed, the system could just reuse the last calculation instead of doing all the heavy lifting from scratch.
And that second step, the graph sampling, that was the real game changer. Instead of analyzing the entire massive graph of millions of data points every single time, the system intelligently picked out just a tiny, relevant piece of the puzzle for each recommendation. This one change reduced the data needed for each calculation by a staggering 90%. That was the key, the innovation that made real-time speed possible without totally gutting the model's accuracy.
So now, they have a resilient system and a wicked fast AI model. Awesome. But here's the final piece of the puzzle. Proving it all actually worked. How could they know for sure that this new expensive system was actually delivering better results for the business?
See, their old method, backtesting, was seriously flawed. It's kind of like trying to predict this weekend's football game by only looking at last season's scores. I mean, it can be super misleading because it's all biased by what happened in the past. So they built a true online A/B testing framework. This let them run 2 different models at the exact same time, on live customers, and compare the results head-to-head in the real world.
And this new testing system immediately proved its worth. In one of their first tests, they had 2 AI models that looked pretty much identical on paper when they did the old-school backtesting. But when they ran them live, wow, Model B was the clear winner, driving way higher business performance. For the first time ever, they had definitive, undeniable proof of what actually worked.
So, after rebuilding the architecture, optimizing the AI, and creating a rock-solid testing system, what was the actual payoff? Well, the results were, to put it mildly, impressive.
First and foremost, the customers noticed. The new recommendations were so much more relevant that user engagement, basically the number of people actually clicking on the offers, jumped by 30%. Now that is not a small improvement. That's a massive signal that the new system was delivering real, tangible value to its users. The new system was also just incredibly efficient. And because of that, they could actually double the number of personalized offers sent to each customer. And this wasn't about spamming people more. It was about creating twice as many opportunities to provide a genuinely useful, timely recommendation that could actually help someone out.
And here is the real kicker for the business. The new cloud-based system wasn't just better and faster, it was cheaper. It actually cost 25% less to operate than their old physical servers. I mean, this is the holy grail of tech upgrades, right? Dramatically better performance at a significantly lower cost. You can't beat that.
And on a purely technical level, they absolutely crushed their goals. The project team had set a goal to build a system that could handle 1,000 transactions per second. When they tested the final product, it could handle 5,000. It was 5 times more powerful than they'd even planned for. Just incredible.
Samsung Card's entire journey proves that sometimes the biggest barrier to great AI isn't the algorithm itself. It's the architecture that's holding it up. Which leaves us with a final thought. As every single service in our lives tries to get smarter and more personal, you have to wonder, how many of them are actually building on a foundation that's strong enough to deliver on that promise?